Welcome everybody, colleagues. We are now starting this informative webinar on PUI, PMS Product User Interface. Today I'm with Marcos, as I mentioned, for those who have not joined before my previous announcements. We are the PMS co-product owner. And today we will be guiding you through the usage of PMS PUI and explaining to you which are some key actions for MAH is most focused on the data quality of your products, and which are the main data that should be looked at. We will also give you a demo to explain to you how to read through the pages your data. So I'm going to start immediately with an agenda. You might notice, for those colleagues who joined the previous meeting on the 17th of October, we have very well welcomed your suggestion to have another webinar similar to the previous one, and most in particular more extended. So the previous webinar was lasted 1 hour. Now we are dedicating 2 full hours, most importantly to reply to any question or doubts you may have. So we hope you are glad to see this second webinar from our side. I'm going to start by giving you a PMS overview, the releases, what we've been doing so far, just for those colleagues who are not yet familiar with the PMS releases and go live and the impact for them. Then I'm going to explain to you and give you mostly a refresh of information on how a user, whether it's an NCA, competent authority, or an industry marketing authorization holder, can request access via PMS PUI, how and which role you should be requesting. Then I will give the floor to Marcos, because it will be explained to you with a demo how to navigate through the pages. As you can see, most of the time is dedicated on this demo navigation, but also we want to focus on which are the data quality issues and the main topics that we are addressed over time, the reason why you might see that the data might be fixed in these weeks and upcoming months. Which are the key actions for MAHs, and then of course an overview of which are the next steps that we foresee for us as an authority and also for the entire network, so NCAs and industry. 25 minutes of question and answer will be dedicated, so we can hopefully answer most of your questions. So, starting with the general notes, as you know, if you're familiar with our webinar and our events, we always record the section. This is made on purpose so you can offline review and rewatch this webinar in case something wasn't very clear or you just had doubts. We will be publishing the recording on the EMA corporate website, or on the YouTube channel, the official EMA channel. Of course, you will be able to submit a question, interact with us. There is always the tool that we usually use, is a Slido tool. You can submit your question. You can also opt to remain anonymous. But if you do choose to use Slido, it means that you're giving your consent to the processing of your personal data. If you want more information, EMA data privacy statement for Slido is always attached to any presentation. Then, how can you connect to Slido? You can either join Slido via slido.com, or you can simply use your QRD, your mobile phone, and scan your QRD code in this slide. You will be requested to enter the hashtag PMS PUI. Of course, you can submit question, you can upvote your question, and we will be giving the priority to the most voted questions. So any remaining unanswered verbally question, we will also do our best to reply in written. The way we manage the questions or any feedback we may receive via Slido.com is usually providing live answers. As I mentioned, sometimes they are verbally answers, sometimes they are just written answer. We will do our best in case you need more expertise from the non-PMS team. In that case, we might kindly ask you to wait for an assistant or another colleagues to join after the webinar. And then the most relevant ones will also be displayed as usual on the desk to reply verbally. If you have, most importantly, because this webinar is focused on data quality aspects that you can see in PUI, if you have any specific question or actually issues or incidents where we really need to investigate, so we kindly please ask you to submit always a service desk ticket, because we have a team dedicated to monitoring this the queue and investigate promptly. So it's not always possible live to answer to those kind of questions. Now, what's the focus of the webinar? I mentioned today overview of PMS release, how to access PUI, how to navigate with the demo across the PUI pages. But then also, most importantly, I think that's the focus for all of us, is to give you a deep detail overview of which are the known issues that we at the agency are aware of and we're taking action on. Which are the key actions for you, and of course the next steps to prepare with the next release. Starting from the PMS release overview. So what we did so far, as most of you are familiar with PMS and with the XCV-NPD, what we did so far, we migrated most of all the data from two source systems. So the system that you are familiar with is definitely XCV-NPD database. This database is a database containing non-cap and centrally authorized products submitted and maintained up to date by the MAHs as per legal requirements. So we migrated all the data with the Delta and we made them available through PMS. On top of that, we also have another database, which is our internal EMA database. This database is called SciMed2. And because EMA only deals with centrally authorized products, this database contains only centrally authorized data. So we migrated also the data into PMS, and what we did, we applied a bunch of migration rules and Delta rules that you can find clearly specified in UAG Chapter 7 for migration rules and UAG Chapter 9 for the Delta rules. And those data, once these are kept in sync and loaded in PMS, those are made available and accessible throughout the PMS API, which is the application programming interface for those who want to have a machine-to-machine connection. But for those companies or regulators who doesn't have or don't want to connect from machine to machine, we also made them available and accessible via the product user interface. This PUI, as you know, is hosted in a portal which is called Product Lifecycle Management, also named PLM as acronym. So our goal was in 2024 to make all this data available, authorized product data in read-only mode for a bunch of key stakeholders. And of course, you can see that we have enabled regulators, the general public for a very limited data sets of information, and most in particularly also the MAH. So you could prepare your in your company the data, and you could also review them and see how much they are aligned within your database. The release systems, as I mentioned, have been focused on releasing PUI access and API access. I will guide you in a moment on which are the role where you should be requesting, but most in particularly the access to this application is driven by the principle mentioned in UAG Chapter 5, as well as in Annex A to UAG Chapter 5. This document explains to you which elements can be accessible by whom. The next release that we focused on, and this is mostly for NCA, is to open the application programming interface, so-called API, to human-only NCAs. For the moment, we only open that for the joint agencies, for the human and vet authorities, because we have a technical limitation and we're waiting for deployment of a component in our API that can facilitate and enable human-only NCA to read the data. So in total, we have almost 4,500 centrally authorized products and more than 400,000 non-centrally authorized products. So it's really a lot of data that you can access based on your org ID. And indeed, how to access a PMS product user interface. So there are a bunch of roles that you need to consider. And the first question you need to ask yourself, of course, is, do I have an administrative role? The administrative role can be assigned at different level. Of course, we have one for industry, for NCA, for EMA. It really depends who you are. So let's assume you are an industry. The role that you need to request in your IAM account, so EMA account management platform, is this one, is IRIS/PLM industry admin. This role, if you want more information, those are all mentioned in chapter 1, onboarding of user role, and also the registration guide, is the role that we always recommend. There are at least two administrative roles for org ID. It's assigned at org ID, and it's very important that you have at least two, because I saw cases where maybe you, your colleagues, there was an administrator left the company, the company didn't monitor the removal, and then they were in trouble because they didn't know how to request further roles. So it's very important that you have always a backup for this administrative role. This role is important also because it will be the one approving any secondary request from any industry users. An industry user, to see and access product user interface PMS data, needs to request either the industry user, we call it regular industry user role, which is equal to a level 2B. If you want to have more information, really look at chapter 5 and annex 8 to chapter 5, because the difference are on which elements you can access. If you want the full access of any data, including the confidentiality data, so the manufacturers and any very confidential data, you need to request the industry qualified user, which is equal to level 2A, the full access to your product data. So the admin is the one approving those kind of roles. And the same happens for NCAs. So if NCAs has already an administrative role, or even the administrative role user role wants also to see the data, they can just request at the moment for NCA just level 3 competent authority user role, because only this one is made available at the moment. And by the way, the level of information that NCA can access with those two roles is equal. The difference is at the level of the privileges in editing data, which is indeed the second qualified user role and is not yet available for the moment. Why? Because we need to complete discussion with the network on which are their responsibility and duties within that type of role. So that's why it's not available. Now, just to give an overview of what I mentioned before. So for those colleagues from industry or for NCAs who already had a role called IRIS EAF Industry Admin or Competent Authority Admin before May 31st, which is the date of the go live, the date on when we open PMS PUI, you don't need to request any role named in this way, because this name has just been updated from the previously former name. So you don't really need to request anything. If you monitor and you access your EMA account management portal, you will just notice that your existing role has just changed the name to the new one that we have requested, because we wanted to embed the whole PLM product. So PMS, EAF, and also the whole PLM. So you will see this name updated, and there are key characteristics that you need to consider. So the administrative role doesn't give you direct access to PMS API or PUI. It's just an administrative role. So it means that you can either revoke or grant any subsequent request that you receive from your company, so from your org, per org ID, on any user that might request to access PUI. So your role as an administrator is just to say yes or no, I approve or reject your request to be a user, either qualified or regular user. To receive access to PMS API, this is a bit deviating, but is to give an overview. This is the only role that you can request, because in your IAM account, you will see that if you are an administrative user, you can see a button called PMS API Submit Request the Role. And this will be the only one that enables you to request the client credential. But let's focus now for PUI access. I told you, it can grant or revoke any other request of a user, and is always recommended that you have at least 2 admin users per org ID. The first administrative request is always approved by the agency. But if you have already an admin, any subsequent request that you receive cannot be approved by the EMA. It will always be pending for approval from your administrative users. That's why it's very important that you have 2, so you can back up, because sometimes not everybody keeps monitoring their EMA account management portal. Then there are also multiple roles that you can request for the same org ID. But it's very, very important that you never overlap the 2 types of PUI roles. If you request, you can request to be admin user and regular user, or admin user and qualified user. But please never request to be user and qualified. This is because based on principles that are mentioned in the PUI registration guide, if you have 2 roles, there will be an overlapping of the level of data that you can see. And of course, the qualified user, which is the one with the highest privilege, full access, will always win. So that's why it's very important. Please be aware that if you have consultant and you don't want them to access the full data, they always request just the user access and not the user and qualified. Otherwise, they will see everything. Then, if you are an admin, you can, of course, as I mentioned, request a user or a qualified user role. And in that case, the system will automatically approve your request because you are an admin. You have these privileges. So for you, yourself is automatically approved. Now, regarding the NCA user and qualified user roles, these are, as I said, are new roles that we have been creating just for the purpose of PUI access. And there is a multi-factor authenticator app that verifies your identity. So there is an additional layer of security and verification. And as I mentioned before, these roles are the one that really enables you as a user to read PMS PUI. Is always assigned at org ID level in IAM. So you need to request in IAM, and it's approved, as I mentioned, by the administrator. So please, as I mentioned before, do not request multiple roles for the same organization. So don't request user and qualified user roles at the same time, because otherwise the qualified user privileges will prevail. And if you are a PUI NCA qualified user role, as I mentioned, this is not available because we still need to complete the discussion related to their responsibility and duties. There are some important rules which are also mentioned in the PUI registration guides, and these are related to the overlapping of the EAF roles and privileges. What does it mean? It means that PUI and EAF are hosted within the same PLM platform. The fact that we are hosting a 2-product system within the platform may cause overlapping at the level of the privileges. And these are the rules that we have created for you. If you have already a role as EAF contributor, you should be only requesting the user role. But if you have the role as EAF coordinator manager, this is equal to qualified user role in PUI. So you need to request this role. In this way, you will always ensure the same privileges are met. Don't overlap them, because otherwise you might end up in seeing confidential data that you're not supposed to see. And this is the third rules. Then, of course, you can, if you want access for different organization IDs, you can always request different role. You can have an org ID A with a qualified user role, or an org ID B with a simple regular user role. That is possible, but it's important that you keep in mind these rules. Then I have my last slide, and then we can close the topic on access. This is focused on how to register. There is a process that is mentioned in UAG chapter 1. I don't remember the page, but it's in that chapter. And there is a process explained to you which are the steps that you should be taking before asking your role. So first of all, key simple question. Am I a user of an organization in OMS? Am I an organization registered in OMS? If no, I need to request, of course, to create an OMS. You will get an org ID, which is very important for you because, as I mentioned, the access are granted per org ID. So let's assume you have requested. You have it. And then now the next question is, do I have an EMA user account in IAM? If no, I request my account. If yes, I just log in the platform and I proceed with my key questions. The key question is, okay, now, is there an administrative role, an IRIS/PLM administrative role for that org ID that I am interested on? If no, you can request it. Of course, there is a letter that you submit. It needs to be signed by your head. But if there is already, you just need to know which is the system that you want to access. So in this case, the first step is API, but let's focus on the green part, PUI. I want to access PUI. Okay, then if I am an admin, so there is already an admin, fine. I just request the relevant role that I'm interested on, and my admin, if I am already an admin, will be automatically approved. But if not, and my colleague is an admin user, he will get a notification IAM, very important to regularly check their account, and will automatically be granted as soon as he approves. If you don't have, again, the admin role, you can decide whether this can be requested or not by yourself, or you want maybe to investigate if somebody else wants it, and then you will be able to be approved in any case. So this is overall the process. It's quite simple, but there are a few steps that you need to focus. Now, I'll give the floor to Marcos, and I think you will be sharing your presentation. Marcos will be focusing on how to navigate through PMS PUI, how to read the pages, and most important, the key part, the list of information that, from a quality perspective, we think they are relevant for you. Marcos, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Let me share my presentation. Hopefully today it will work. And hopefully you can see my screen.
Yes.
So, as Veronica was saying today, during the last webinar, we realized that it was a very short webinar. We also received your feedback, and we wanted to give a bit more explanation on how we navigate through the product UI, how can we check the data, how can we access the dynamic reports, etc. So first of all, before going into the demo, we have here in this slide, and those slides are already published in the event webpage, so you can already have access to them. Here you have links to all the PMS product user interface guidance that we have. So how to register, you also have the navigation guide. There is also product UI known issues link where we have listed the different issues that we have, that we know that we have in the product UI, so you can have a look. Then you also have here links to the implementation guide, the IDMP implementation guide. So the introduction, chapter 1 that Veronica was already mentioning on how to register to get access either to the PMS API, but also to the product UI. We also have chapter 5 where we have the data access. And there is all the information about, okay, depending on the role, which information are you able to access, and also in Annex A. And we also have the export guide for the onboarding of users to export data services. So it's important that you read all these guidances. There are more, we know there are a lot of guidances, but it's important for you to know where you can find the information. So once we have said that, let me go into the presentation and let me share my screen. So first of all, what I'm going to do is, I hope you can still see my screen. So this is the PLM portal. So when you access into the PLM portal, you can see that we have the EAF. So if you are a EAF user, you can have access to all your EAFs, you can create, edit, etc. You also have access to API, and now the focus of this webinar is the access to PMS. So this is where we have what we call the product user interface, where you can have access to PMS. Before signing in, you can have access to the PMS guidances. So here you have the links to the EUIG implementation guide, the product UI documents. You also have, and this is very, very important, the Q&A documents for PMS. We have just updated the FAQ document for PMS. There's a lot of questions that are, they are frequently asked during the webinars and also in service now. So we have captured them here, and it's very important for you to now come here, check the answers. There are questions about the IDs, how to submit packages to PMS, what happens if you don't see your data in the product UI, which are the known issues, questions regarding the IDs and things like that. So please come here. There's a lot of information. We have just updated this document, and we will keep updating it as soon as we have additional information. Then you also have training sessions that we have recorded, and you also have a list to the union list of critical medicines. Now, if this is regarding the guidances. Now, if we want to log in, first of all, you need to follow all the instructions that Veronica has just shared. You need to request an account and a user role. Once you have it, you just need to sign in using your EMA account. And you will see that once you are logged in, you will have here now your own products from the product UI. You can also have access to the EAFs or EPI, also a link to Export, to IAM, Iris, etc. And in the product management service, you can have access to your list of products and also the dynamic product reports. So first of all, I will just go to products of my organization or owned products, so you can see what we have in this screen. So here it's very easy. On the left-hand side, we have just a filter area where you can filter by the PMS ID, also the full name of your product. You can filter by authorized dose form, different fields, active substance countries, authorization status, or MRP DCP numbers. Please take into account that the by default filter is only filtering by valid authorization statuses. So valid, renewed, transfer, or suspended, which is also a valid. You can remove this filter, and now the filter will, the search will look for all type of products regardless of the authorization status, or you can filter by a specific authorization statuses. So I only want the valid ones, or I want the valid and the suspended, for example. So I can have it here. You can also reset, and then you will reset your filtering. And then here it's important, the column visibility, you can decide which is the data that you want to see in this column. So for example, I don't want to have the active substance, so I can just remove it, or I don't want to see authorization status, so you can see that this table is changing the headers. I want to have everything, so I will just apply this. What I usually do is I change this load 10 rows to 50. So whenever I click on search, instead of having only 10 products, I will have at least 50, and I will have a better search. Let's go, for example, in this case, I'm registered with an EMA account, so I have access to all the products in PMS. In your case, you will have access only to the products that are under your organization for which you are registered in IAM. I'm going to start searching, for example, for, I don't know, a Spanish product. So I can apply this filter. I can include different countries. Here you have all the abbreviations for the countries. And as soon as I click search, the system will start looking in PMS for those products that are valid and where the authorization country is Spain. Here it says that in the table I have 1 out of 50 entries, but the total number of records that we have in PMS with this filtering criteria is more than 15,000. So here I just have 50. I can load even more, clicking in load more, and in this case I will get another 50 products. So in total I have 100. I can continue applying filters. So for example, I just want those products where the authorize those form. And here this filtering is taking all the data from RMS. So I will just use, for example, the film coated tablets. I only want those products. So now you can see that in the table, I'm just filtering for products in Spain with this number of products. I can click search again because you have seen that I have reduced the number of entries that I have. This is because when I clicked search, I loaded 100 products, but now when I continue applying filters, this filter is applied only to those products that were loaded. So if I click search again, I will get, in principle, 50 products. But then I can click on load more, and I will be getting additional information. It might take a while. We are working on the performance of the system, but in principle, this shouldn't take a lot of time to load all these products with these filters that we have applied. Otherwise, if it takes long, I can restart the page, because the idea is that you can see that the products, I mean, the functionality is working and go into the product. So now, for example, you see I have 50 records, and these are the products that I have. What I can do, for example, is, I'm interested in this product, and this product, and maybe one here below, but you can see that the ones that I have selected are very far from each other, so I'm not sure which products I have selected. If I click here, view selected products, then this table will show me only those that I have selected. So this is interesting because it's like, okay, these are the ones that I want, correct, and then I can click back here and I will see again the full list of products. I will not lose my selection. So I also want, for example, this one. So yeah, I have selected these 4 products. You can see here that the edit data is not available for the moment. In January, we will allow people to start editing those products, because we need MA holders to start submitting these manufacturers and the structure pack size data, etc. But we will explain this in a different webinar, not now. So let me take just one product, because I want to show you how the product data looks like. So I'm going to open this one. If I click, the product is opened in a different window. And in the different window, you can see the PMS ID and the name of the product. So if you just hover here, you will see all this information. So this is how your product looks like in the inside. So here you can see your medicinal product name with the PMS ID, the authorization country, the organization of the MA holder, the authorization status, and about some information about the version. Inside the product, you have your IDs, the domain, MPIDs are not generated yet. You have very important, this is something that was requested by MA holders, to have the EV codes that are linked to this product. So in this case, we might have two packages because we have, this is actually a duplicate. We have this EV code is linked to this product. All this information is coming from XCVMPD, so the full name, as this is a national product, this is all coming from XCVMPD. You have the full name as in XCVMPD, the country and the language, and if we expand, you will see the name parts that are also coming from XCVMPD. You also have the legal status of supply, the authorized dose form, combined dose form, the pediatric use indicator, additional monitoring, etc. All this information, if it's there, again, coming from XCVMPD. You have the ATC code. We have also included the ATC code name and the ATC code flag, if applicable, the legal basis, and the XCVMPD product type information. Again, all this information coming from XCVMPD. We don't have orphan designations because this is a non-cap. Importantly, the pharmacovigilance related information. I will go later in the presentation to the known issues. So there is an issue that we already know, that the QPPV and the pharmacovigilance inquiry information is not shown in the product UI, but we have it in PMS. It's just a synchronization issue that we are not showing this information. You can just see the PSMFL. Then we have the attached documents. In some products, I will go later with this. The attachments are there and some others there are not. I will go later to this section. So some information of your product. We can continue marketing authorization information. Here we have your, let's say, some regulatory information like the marketing authorization number, authorization country, status, the authorization status date, type of procedure, MRP, DCP, or CP number if available, the marketing authorization holder, etc. Therapeutic indications also coming from XCVMPD. In this case, for those who were already using the product UI for CAPS, you can see that we have moved, based on your requirements, the full indication text to this section. It was previously on the medicinal product, but it's true, it makes sense to have this full indication text together with indications, but this is only coming from SciAmed. So for non-CAPS, it will not be available for the moment. It's taken a bit of time to load, but here we would have the MEDRA codes as captured in XCVMPD. So maybe I can try to open another product to see if it loads quicker in the meantime. We have just had a production deployment, so maybe this is why it's taken a bit more. So now here you can see these MEDRA codes are coming from XCVMPD. You have the MEDRA code and also the MEDRA code name and version. All this information is mapped between XCVMPD and RMS, so that's why the information is here. In the future, we will request the comorbidity and also the intended effect, but for the moment, this is empty. Information regarding manufacturers is empty because this is coming from SciAmed, and as this is a non-cap, this information is missing. Whenever we open the edit capability, the enrichment capability, you will be able to provide here all the manufacturers for your products. Ingredients, these ingredients are coming from XCVMPD. So you can see here the active substance and the excipients. If we display, you can see the substance CB code and the substance type. And this manufacturer is empty for the moment, but this data has to be enriched with over time. And we will be able to have all the information here. But for the moment, this is empty and we don't expect to have information here. Then medical devices, this section is also empty. We don't have this information nor in SciAmed nor in XCVMPD. So for the moment, it's an empty page. The manufacturer item, this is also empty because this is coming from SciAmed for the moment only for CAPS. So for the non-cap, empty. You don't have to provide this data. It is correct that this is empty. Now we move to the packages, but in fact, let me just show you something, because I would like to show one specific product. I'm gonna filter by the PMS ID, because I want to show you a product where, if I have it, maybe I don't have it here. Otherwise, I can show you here. It's fine. So the packaged medicinal product is the section where you have your packages. You can see that I have selected a product that has a known issue. I will explain you later. This issue is that we can have duplicated packages. This will be solved by next year, but for the moment, this is a duplicate. You can see that the MA number is coming from XCMPT and is linked to this specific EV code, and you have the authorization status. If we display, and look, for example, this is also a good example. We have the package description coming from XCMPT, and this company has already submitted the updated package description with the national ID and then some package description. So this is the pack of 100 comprimidos, and then they also have included here the material. So for them, it will be very easy to then identify, okay, for this pack that I have in XCMPT, this is my national ID, and I will be able to report whenever needed the package size. So the package size is the units of presentation. It will be, in this case, comprimidos, and the quantity will be 100. Shelf life is missing, and also the data carriers are missing for the moment. In January, you will be able to include, if you want, these data carriers IDs. So this is in relation to the pack sizes. In these accordions, you will be able to always expand them all or collapse them all if you want. There are different capabilities here in the product UI. Something interesting, maybe in this case is not really useful because you only have 2 packages, but you can download a lot of information. So if you click here on download, you will be able to download the list of packages that you have for this specific medicinal product, and you will see something like this. So the MA number, the pack size in this case is empty, but at some point it will be here. PCID, whenever we create them, they will be here. EV codes, legal status of supply, and authorization statuses. So if needed, you can download this information. It is the same on the manufacturer section. Now there's nothing here, but you also have this download button that you can use if you want to download in order to check which information you have for your products. Coming back to the packages, we have also marketing authorization information for each package. So in this case, we will have the marketing authorization information at package level. So the authorization status, the country, the MA number, and the authorization status date for the package. This might change between packages. I can have a package that is withdrawn, but the other one is valid, etc. So this is why we have this information here. There is this marketing status that at the beginning it was supposed to be in PMS. Now, how we manage this data is IRIS for caps, ESMP for non-caps. So we will be discussing internally how and what do we do with this section. But for the moment, if the data is here, don't trust the data that we have here in PMS, in the product UI, because the correct one is the one that we have in IRIS. Package items, it's empty for non-caps because we don't have this information in XCMPT. We will have some we already have some information for caps. I will show you an example later. Again, manufacturers related to the packages, this is empty for the moment. The manufacturer items are also empty because we don't have this information in XCMPT, and medical devices as well. Then we have the pharmaceutical product. This is again coming from XCMPT. So in this case, we have one pharmaceutical product with the administrable dose form is film coated tablet. The route of administration is oral use, and these are the ingredients as captured in in the product, in XVMPD. We have just migrated this information. This workspace, I'm not going to go into this because this is only for the edit process. We are building the edit process, so for the moment, there is nothing you need to look here. We will explain this in a different webinar where we will explain, okay, this is the enrichment process, these are the edit capabilities, and this is how it works. So this is in principle everything about the medicinal product page. We can go, for example, and try to look for a cup. I will reset this. If I want to look for a cup, then I need to filter using the authorization country EU. Not able to see anything. That shouldn't be the case. Okay, let me see, because I don't know what's happening. We might be having an issue. Let's see. Okay, now it's working, sorry. So these are products, these are centrally authorized products that we have in PMS. I'm just gonna open this one because I know that this product, for example, has not been matched and merged with XCVMPD. How do I know that? Because I don't have an EV code here. So that means that all the information that I have in PMS for this product is only coming from SciAmed, because for some reason I have not been able to do the match and merge with this. So I have the name, this is coming from SciAmed, the legal status of supply from SciAmed. All the information that I have here is coming from SciAmed. In the manufacturer, I'm going to open the therapeutic indication. Here you can see that I have the full indication text. So this is coming from SciAmed. I can scroll up and down here. And I have these MEDRA codes. I'm not going to open the manufacturers because this is confidential information. But in this case, I would have manufactured items that I'm not going to display also because I don't want to have the risk to show confidential data. But you can see that in this product, we have a manufactured item with information coming from SciAmed. So you can also review this information. And then we also have, in this case, a packaged medicinal product. I can display this. You can see here that the package description is, as explained in Chapter 7, coming from SciAmed for centrally authorized products. It's a concatenation of different fields like the packaging, the pack size, and the content. If there is, for example, if I have a vial or something like this, so we have this information. And this package size is also captured from this field here. So that's why I know that I have 2 pre-filled syringes. In other cases, I would have 100 tablets or whatever. And the pack size is also captured here. I have 2 syringes. That's why for centrally authorized products, I already have this information. For non-caps, this is the data that you will have to provide with the enrichment. So together with the manufacturers, this structured pack size data is what you need to submit, like 20 tablets, 100 tablets, 3 vials, 3 syringes. This is the information that you need to provide. So this is how a cap looks like. Obviously, if the cap would have been matched and merged together with XCVMPD, and I can try to find another example like this one. In this case, I have this central authorized product is mapped to a product in XCVMPD. So we have this EV code here for the packages. I also know that I have 1 pack size. Again, the information coming from SciAmed for the package description, and then in the pack size I have, in this case, 90 tablets. So this is how the data looks like, but this is not the only way you can access PMS product data. There is something that we call the dynamic reports. So if you go to product management service here, you can access the dynamic product reports. So what we have done is we have built different, in the BI tool, we have created different reports that you can use to download additional information for your products. We know that they are not perfect. They provide a huge amount of information, but again, they are not perfect. We are not able to show the full list of data elements that we have in PMS. We will be working on that in next year. We will extend these reports, but for the moment, this is the data that you have access to. So I have access to all the products in PMS, so you can see that I have a huge amount of products. But I can also use the filters here. So for example, right now I'm filtering by all the statuses. So I can say, no, I just want to have the valid products. I also want to filter only for products in Spain. So I can filter here in Kingdom of Spain. And maybe by a specific authorized those form or MA holder. But in this case, I want to see only products, valid products in Spain. So here I have the PMS IDs, full names, authorized those form, MA holders with org ID and log ID, active substance, etc. And also the EV codes linked to this product. So if I have more than one EV code, like in this case, I have two different EV codes linked to this product, they will be shown here. For users that have access to more than one marketing authorization holder, we have this window here where you can see, okay, by different MA holders, you can see the different products. If I drill down, I will see let me change that view. For this specific MA holder with this org ID and log ID, I have these PMS IDs. I can use also the filters to search by EV code or by full name of the product, etc. But more importantly, you can always export this information in a table. I'm not going to export this one because it's very big. I will export another one so you can see how it looks when we export this information. That just one thing. I could click here on export and continue working on other things, but let's try to export something that is easier. And then something also useful if you want to use these reports for sharing with management or internal in your company, etc. You have this product visualization where you can see different reports for different data. So for example, let me, in this case, I have, for example, medicinal products by MA holders. In case you have different MA holders, you can see, I have 300 products for this MA holder and 100 for another one. You have here this representation of number of products by marketing authorization. So this is very interesting as well to know, okay, I have half of my products are valid, the other ones are suspended or revoked, etc. You can also filter by different authorization status, like, okay, let's do this one and this one and this one. I don't know. So you can always manipulate these reports. Also, medicinal products by country, medicinal products by active substance. You can include here additional information. If you click on one of the substances, for example, then the reports will change, and all these reports will also change. I can always click and come back. Then we have something for number of products based on the dose form. So I have in this case 71,000 products which are film quality tablets, and then 37,000 for tablets. And here we have it drill down of all these different authorized dose forms. Also by type, so if it's a national procedure, DCP, MRP, so you have all this information here. For centrally authorized products for the moment, you have the manufacturers. If I click here, I open a new window. I'm not gonna drill down in this report because there are confidential information, but here you have your products, PMS ID and full name. If you click on manufacturer, you will be able to see which are the manufacturers assigned to those products. And then you will have another button here saying operations. So it will display for those manufacturers, which are the operations, like this is the active substance manufacturer, or this is the, I don't know, the batch releaser, etc. You will be able to export this information. But again, I'm not going to drill down because this is confidential. We have another one for ingredients. In this case, we have the medicinal products, and we have, again, PMS IDs, full name, authorization status, and let me see, yeah, ingredients that we have and their role. So, for example, for, see, I'm going to use the authorization status, only the valid ones. So, for example, for this product, we have these substances with these SMS IDs, with these roles. I'm not going to click because there might be also confidential information. You can see the strengths. So for caps, for example, we have strengths for everything because excipients are also coming from Siamet. So you will be able to see the strengths, etc. For non-caps, the strength will be only available for the active substances. But there is also a way that you can review the data that we have for your product and make sure that is correct with the SMS ID, strengths, etc. Something important, packages. This is a report where you will be able to see all your products and which are the packages that we have. So again, we have these products with this information. If I click on packages, I will be able to see the packages that are linked to one specific product. So I don't know, this one, this name authorized in Italy for this holder with these two packages. These are the package IDs that are assigned to these specific pack sizes. We have the MA number for these two pack sizes and are linked to these two EV codes with this authorization status and with this package description. So there's a lot of information that you can export from here. You can also filter. We can, for example, try to filter here something. Let's do only valid products in Spain. Well, let's take Italy, in this case, for Italy. And I don't know. I can try to export this information. So if I click on export data, I will be able to get in a CSV format or in the current layout. I can click on export. It says, okay, you are exporting the data. You can still browse reports and continue working. You will get a notification whenever this is exported. So here you can see that we have all the different products that we have in the different pack sizes. So this is a lot of information that you can already start looking at and making sure that we have migrated correctly those packages. Once it's downloaded, I can open and I will get an Excel with all this information. Let's open it. And in this case, enable editing. So in this case, you have the PMS ID for your product with the package IDs that you can use. Here you have the MA number, the EV code, the authorization status, the package description. So it is really, really useful to maybe export this and make sure, okay, for this product, the packages are okay, the EV codes are also okay, so you can use this information. Okay, so a lot of information. I think we were able to export in a very convenient way because we have grouped the different IDs together with the same medicinal product. So it's really useful. You can also export it in CSV if you want. I'm not gonna save this. And then we have another one for ATC code. So this report here is mainly there to support with the ESMP project, but you can use it also to review your data. So in this case, what we have done is we have created an export here. You can see the medicinal products with the ATC codes, the route of administration, and then the full name, MA numbers, the EV code linked to each product, who is the MA holder, and the active substance. This is mainly, you can use it, you can export this report. It's mainly used to say, okay, in the union list of critical medicines, I have these ATC codes, and I can filter by those ATC codes, like, for example, this one and this one. Okay, my products under the union list of critical medicines are those. So I know that I need to submit all my pack sizes in XCVMPD. Do I have all of them? Correct or not? And then I'm not going to open because there might be, again, confidential data. You have the manufacturing operations. So from January, when we open the enrichment capability, you will be able to see, okay, for my products with these ATC codes, do I have all the pack sizes? Do I have all the manufacturing business operations correct? Then, okay, I have submitted all the information that is needed. My products are correct. You can use this report for this. And yeah, we think it's really useful also for marketing authorization holders. So, this is in principle the demo for the product UI. But before going into the questions, we have in the presentation, and let me come back to the presentation, some data quality issues. So, as part of the migration and then the deltas from SciAmed and from XCVMPD, and then the way we are synchronizing the data between PMS and the product UI, we have discovered there are some not only data quality issues, but some issues that we want to raise here. All the issues that I'm going to explain now are known. So please, if you identify one of those issues in your product, do not open a ticketing service now, because we will just close it saying, yeah, we know it's a known issue as it is explained in the PMS Q&A document. We cannot do anything for the moment, and we will close the ticket. So if you find something that I'm going to explain now in your products, just bear with us. We will be updating this Q&A document, and we will also have these release notes where we will be explaining, okay, now this issue that we had is solved. You can check this part of the product. Something important, not all the products have issues. And as you can see, for some of the products, or maybe most of the products that I have shown, maybe it's been like only 4 products, but there was only one issue in one product. So you can still review your products. Most of them are correct. We don't have issues. And also, if one product maybe will have only one of those issues, not all of them. So, we want to explain here the issues so you know that they exist, but maybe they don't apply to your products, and you can review the data that we have for them. So, first of all, nullified products. We have removed them in principle with the production deployment that happened tonight. So they should not be appearing in the product UI, but they are still shown in the dynamic report. So in the report that I was showing lately. We will work on that in the next sprint. I think is when we will remove them from the dynamic report, so the nullified products will disappear from the product UI. But yeah, some of them might appear. How can you check if a product is nullified or not? You need to either go into the API, but if you don't have access to the PMS API, and this is something that I forgot to explain, if I look for a product, for example, this one, it's an Italian product, so it's okay. Here at the end, you have this export to XML. If you click here, you read this data protection disclaimer, you will export the XML as we have it in PMS. And here you will be able to access, okay, it's very technical, but if you look for a status, you will see here that the status in this case is ending in 5004. This is a current product. If it were 5007, sorry, here, then that means that the product is nullified. So in the product UI, they are gone, but in the dynamic reports, they might still be there. In some cases, we have the full product name might be truncated if it's too long. I have an example for this because I want to show you how it looks like for each of the products. So let me here. So in this case, you can see that for this product, the full name is truncated, and it's also sorry. So here it's truncated, and you can see that we don't have all the information. But in PMS, we have it correctly. It is just because it is too long, and in the product UI, we are not able to show everything, and we are working on this and check how we can solve it. But in some products, you might see that the full product name is truncated. It is okay. It's just that we are not able to fit everything, but in PMS is correct. Then, for multilingual countries, just one name in one language is shown in the main page. So this is mainly for products in Belgium, Luxembourg, and Finland. So if I come back here again and I look, for example, for products in Finland, but I just look for one product that I know, so it's quicker. This is a Finnish product, if I don't remember correct. So this is a Finnish product, and you can see that we only have one name displayed here. If I enter into the product, here you can see that I have both names as in XCBMPD. The problem is that with the synchronization, we are just taking a random name and we display it here. Also, if you look for your product here in the table with the name, you need to know in which name we are showing. So it's better to use maybe the MA number or any other information. We will be solving this. In principle, for Finland and Luxembourg, it seems easier. For Belgium, we need to discuss with the SMEs, the Belgium NCA, and we will have a discussion on which name to show because we have 3 names and we need to discuss. But just for you to know, we will only have one name for this type of products. Then I already showed this, the QPPV contact and the pharmacovigilance inquiry information is not there visible for the moment. Okay, it will be visible at some point, but we have it in PMS, but it's not there in the product UI. Then for the attached documents, so with the attached documents, what happened is that during the initial migration from XCBMPD, we migrated those products and we migrated the ID of the attachment. So only the ID, we have not migrated the physical document. So if you open the attached document section, you will be able to see some information like the ID of this attachment, the language, etc., and the effective date. As we only migrated the ID, this URL is not working. You will not be able to open anything. And the problem is that we are not maintaining this section. So you will have the ID of the product that was there during the initial migration. If then you have updated this document, we have not maintained this section. We will be discussing next year how to put here physical documents so you can have access to them and also how to maintain this section. But don't review this section, is not worth it because we might not have the most up-to-date information. Then additional monitoring indicator might not be reflected correctly. So please also take into account this. If you don't see the same data as in XCBMPD, we know that it's not there yet. Then for the marketing status data, as I explained, for CAPS, this is coming, you are including this information in IRIS, and we are taking it from there, but it is not correctly displayed. So don't review this section. The correct information is the one that you have in IRIS. I will show you how it looks like in the product UI, just for you to see it, but don't take it into account. The correct one is the one from IRIS. This is in the package. So here we should have here marketing status. You will see something like this, but this might not be correct. We will be working on that, but for the moment, don't pay attention to this, okay? More issues that we know. So sometimes if you have removed an indication or a manufacturer, in this case, the indication from XCMPT or the manufacturer from SciAmed, they might still appear in the product UI. There is an issue with entities that are removed. So please bear with us. We will be solving this next year. Removed indications or manufacturers might still appear in the product UI. In PMS, they are correct, but how we show them in the product UI is not. So we know it's an issue, and we will be solving it. Then some fields or sections might be duplicated on CAPS. So for example, some indications or ATC codes, ingredients, pharmaceutical products, route of administration, or packed medicinal products might be duplicated. Like in this case, you can see that I have the same route of administration multiple times. We know this issue. It will be solved next year. But you can see that other products that I have shown you, the indications are correct, the ATC codes are correct, also ingredients, the pharmaceutical products. So again, not all these issues are affecting all the products. I have an example also here, so you can see how this looks like. We can open this product. I think it was the pharmaceutical product. I have the pharmaceutical product twice. So it's a duplicate, we know, but yeah, for other products might be correct or will be correct for sure. Then that is important. Some dates coming from SciAmed reflect the day before the one that is captured in SciAmed. So if in SciAmed the date of first authorization is 9th of March 1990, in the product UI you will see 8th of March 1990. This is due to the way we are capturing the dates, that is moving the date one day before. We will be solving this. So if you see that your product, the date is not correct, and you know that this is coming from SciAmed, don't raise a ticket. We will correct it. Then from the product from Luxembourg, we migrate them following a wrong business rule. It was not accurate at all. So in December, so next month, next month almost, we will be changing the way we migrate the products in Luxembourg. We will be merging those PMS IDs that belong to the same medicinal product, but they are just packages of the same medicinal product. So sorry for that, but for those products, we need to make a fix. Then, for 3 countries, Estonia, Liechtenstein, and Finland, when you go in the search menu, so here in the authorization country, you will not be able to search by Finland, so FI, you need to use SF. It's an old name convention. Sorry, I need to remove this. It's an old name convention for Finland, but yeah, it's coming from RMS. We need to change this. Then In the product, you will see, for example, here, authorization country, these two isolators are correct. And also inside the medicinal product, the country is also correctly displayed. So here is the Republic of Finland. It's just here on this table, the search menu, where you need to use these two ISO codes. So it's for Estonia, for Liechtenstein, and for Finland. Then, this is not an issue, at least not a migration issue. This is an issue of how people is submitting data to XMPD. So let me show you an example. For countries such as Bulgaria and also Greece, if you are using Cyrillic characters, in XMPD, you need to make sure that you are using the XHTML view and you include your Cyrillic characters with this view. Otherwise, if you are just using the normal setup of XMPD, these Cyrillic characters will be replaced by question marks. And if you go to XMPD and you look for your products, they will have question marks. So it's not a problem of the migration to PMS was wrong. In fact, this was correct because in XMPD we have these question marks. So for marketing authorization holders with products with Cyrillic characters, please check this. Check XMPD and make sure that you don't have this product with the question marks. Otherwise, you will see this in your product and it will be incorrect. If you send an update to XMPD with the correct view and the correct information, PMS will also be updated. And last but not least, so by mid of November, so in 2 weeks, we will be fixing an issue that some ingredients might not appear in the product UI or wrong ingredients might be captured. This is also impacting EAF if the ingredients are not reflected. So we please ask you to check your product before you use the web-based EAF. Again, it's not all the products. Some products we might have wrong ingredients captured or not appearing in the product UI. So we ask you to check. And last but not least, we have an issue on how we, it's not only us, it's a lot of consuming systems, how we use the data from OMS. So if you have made a change to a name or a merge has happened to your organization in OMS, even if we capture the correct log ID in PMS, the old name of the organization might still appear in the product UI, in the EAF, and in other systems. We are working, all the POs for all these systems are working together to identify the solution, to see how we can capture the updated version of the data that we have in OMS. So this will be solved, but for the moment, just for you to know, this might happen. So we have talked about issues that we have. So reminder, not all the issues are affecting all the product. So you can still review your products and make sure that the data is there. Again, if in case there is any question on the Slido, dynamic reports do not allow the export of full PMS product data. We know that, but you can still perform data verification activities on your product. So what do you need to do? First of all, you need to request access. Veronica has explained it very well. We also have the chapter 1 and chapter 5. You need to request the role and log into the PLM portal and navigate to your products. Now, if you have access to the PMS API, you can export and review all product data. Easy. But you need to have access to the API and a system to consume this data. If you only have access to the product UI, and that is also totally fine, you don't need to get access to the PMS API if you don't want to or you don't have the capacity, then you can still perform some checks. Which are these checks that you should consider. So first of all, review the product migration. So you need to make sure that all your products that you have in Exit MPD have been migrated to PMS. You need to check Chapter 7, obviously, and Chapter 9 to understand the rules. And if one of those products is not there, maybe the answer is in one of those chapters or also in the PMS Q&A document. If you don't find it and you have reviewed the documents and you don't understand why it's not there, then you can write a ticket and we will investigate. Also, what you can do is, if there are multiple EV codes that are linked to one specific medicinal product, you can make sure that those has been migrated together. So packages of the same medicinal product that have different EV codes in Exit MPD should have been migrated together. So please make sure, and you can use these dynamic reports for packages, for example, to make sure that we have migrated this correctly. If not, again, check the guidance, make sure that in Exit MPD the data is correct, and make sure that we have migrated this correctly. Then you can also review specific data fields. So you can review the ones that are coming from Exit MPD and make sure that, for example, the mappings are correct. So if you have in Exit MPD film coated tablet, make sure that in PMS we also have film coated tablets, or that the administrable dose form is also the same as the one in Exit MPD. The same for the legal basis, for example, ingredients and the strength, the MEDRA codes, the ATC codes, but also a big amount of fields like pediatric use, additional monitoring, MA numbers, package description, dates, etc. If some of your products have, multiple MEDRA codes or things like that, okay, you can avoid validating or verifying this section. It's okay, you can do it later. But for most of your products, you will be able to do this validation. Then for those who has data from SIAMED, like manufacturers, ingredients on the manufacturer item, or the pack size and package description, you can also review this information. So some of these checks can be done using the dynamic reports. Others, unfortunately, you need to use the product UI for the products. Some tips for the review. So important. So changes in Exit MPD may affect the structure of your products. So for this, you need to check Chapter 9. If you update grouping elements in Exit MPD, so for example, if you change the name of your product, or if you change the active substance or the strength, these are grouping elements that we use to group products under the same medicinal product in PMS. If you make changes to those, that will lead to the generation or creation of new products in PMS. So please review Chapter 9 and make sure that you don't perform changes to those fields. Now, you might have a huge amount of products to validate. Not all the data could be validated. That is okay. We understand. So we ask you to focus first on products that are going to be used by other consuming systems. So, for example, you can focus on those products under the Union list of critical medicines. Make sure that you have the packages. Make sure that the names are correct, that the data on pack sizes are correct. Check those that are impacted by ESMP. Then you can move and check the ones that you are going to start using on EAF. So, for example, those NAPs, okay, do I have my product? Do I have the packages where I need to have my packages? You can do it in stages and validate different products in different stages. That is also fine. In case of any discrepancies or doubts about the data that we have, first, check the information that we have in Chapter 7, Chapter 9, the EUIG, the migration rules, etc. If you have questions, then you can open a ticket in Service Desk, and we will try to address this information and investigate more the products. And this slide, I think, is my not the last, but almost there. It's a bit of explanation on which type of ticket you need to raise in case you have any issue with PMS. So you can either ask a question in the EMA service desk, and then you can select the services, the PLM portal, and you have different service offerings depending the type of question that you have. So PMS product data or the product UI access, the functionalities, if it's more a general question, etc. Or then you can also use the Sport PMS. You can also report an incident if you have problems with the access, if you have issues with your data, you can also request an incident. So depending on the type of service that you need, it's either ask a question or report an incident in EMA service desk. To finish, I'm just gonna let you know the next steps, the upcoming events that we have. So as you know, we have these Q&A clinics where for half an hour we go there, we listen to you, and we try to reply to as many questions as possible. So we have one on the 5th of November and another one on the 22nd. Together with the EAF team, there is a training session and a Q&A for industry stakeholders on the 8th. You can also register already here. We will be there in case there are any questions related to PMS. One of the webinars also of the year, because we know there's a lot of interest, is the one for the submission of manufacturers and MBOs to PMS. This is taking place on the 25th of November. We have gathered a lot of questions from the SMEs. If you have questions regarding to manufacturers, you can contact the SMEs as well, and we will try to, gather all these questions and so we will be able to reply to them during the webinar. And then the system demo that we have every quarter, in this case on December 12th. There were a couple of questions. How to know everything that is happening in PMS? There's a lot of places where you can check. So we have the PMS news page where you can see news, events, downtimes. We also have the PLM newsletter. You can subscribe here, and then I will also give you a QR code so you can subscribe to the PLM newsletter. For webinars, we also have the event webpage, etc., and you can register to those webinars and check the webinars that we had in the past. Very important, this PMS FAQ document that we have just released. So please go there, check the questions, and have a look, because there's a lot of information here. It's in the PLM portal, and you will be able to see a lot of information. Then the quarterly system demos, the next one, as I said, is on the 12th of December. And then you have the PMS webpage where you can find the PMS overview and all the chapters that we have for the EUIG. Again, in January, we will release the next PLM newsletter. We released the last one, I think it was October. We have done it in October, so we do it quarterly. The next one is going to be mid-January. You can use this QR code to subscribe, or you also have the link. So with this, and right on time, we have time for the questions. So I see that you have used a lot of Slido. So Katerina, I think we can go through the questions if you want. And
yes,
yep, happy to reply to them.
Okay, thank you, Marcus. Let's go to Slido. So just for your awareness, we have for the moment archived the questions with less than 5 votes that had already a reply in written mode. But we will republish them, remake them available on Slido after we finish the session. This is just to allow to still reply to the most voted ones also live. And for the less voted ones that had already a reply, to archive them and make space for the other ones that did not get an answer at all. So first question here. So we added packaging description in XCVMPD, including the national ID as shown in your example. However, EMA data stewards deleted this national ID during validation, so that only the information on pure pack size is migrated to PMS.
That is a bit weird. If you can send me an email with the specific EV code, please, because in fact, the validation team do not really make changes on does not make changes on the package description. So send me an email, please. You have my email everywhere, and I will check.
Okay. Then here is a link to this EU CROF document where they say that it's written at page 7 that IDMP implementation in EU is for centralized procedures only. Please comment on that.
So I have just opened the document. This is not an EMA document, and I don't know who is responsible for, I'm sorry for that. I don't know who is responsible for this European CRO Federation. That is not an EMA document, and therefore we are not responsible for that. Article 57 legislation says that IDMP is applicable to all medicinal products authorized in Europe. So that's in principle the only comment that I think we can provide.
Okay, thank you. Are there any timelines regarding manufacturing, business operations, enrichment, checking migrated data in PMS, etc.?
No new timelines. The ones that we already provided during the PMS Info Day back in April. So manufacturing, business operations, enrichment process will be opened in January. You will have until December to submit this data for the products under the Union list of critical medicines. And then for checking migrated data, we never provided a deadline. We always said, okay, this is an activity for MA holders to be doing, but there's not really a deadline for this activity. It's a continuous process that you need to make sure that the data is correct. Whenever you create an EAF, make sure that the product is correct, that you don't see anything wrong. It doesn't mean that you need to do a full analysis of your product every time you are going to use a product. But at the beginning, it's really useful to make sure, okay, I'm going to use for the first time this product in the web-based EAF. Let's make sure that the product is correct and everything is correct in PMS.
Thank you. Next, IDMP is in place only for centralized procedures. When EMA will announce the implementation date for IDMP for other kind of regulatory affairs procedures for each kind of procedure?
So I think this is the same question linked to the previously shared document. As Marcos mentioned, PMS is the database for hosting both CAPS and non-CAPS products across any type of regulatory procedure, because these are coming from XCMPD.
Thank you. We observed there are multiple issues in migration from XCMPD. How should this be corrected?
So I explained all the issues that we have found. I have to say that these are issues that we have as part of how we synchronize the data between PMS and the product UI. There are other issues coming from how the data is in XCMPD and how this has been submitted by marketing authorization holders. So please review your products and make sure if that is an issue that I have explained on how we show the data in the product UI, or if it was an issue due to the data that is in XCMPD. And then I have just explained, like, either just bear with us while we solve these issues for some products, or you can maybe submit updates to XCMPD to solve the issues on the migration.
Thank you. As the goal for MAHs is to submit non-critical NAP pack sizes by end of 2026, the MAHs risk not to seal these pack sizes in the web-based EAF, foreseen to be mandatory by the end of 2025, and be blocked for the variation submissions?
No. So you need to have, so for EAF, you need to have all your pack sizes for those countries who assign the marketing authorization number at package level. So for example, in Italy, if you want to submit a variation for an Italian product, you need to have all your pack sizes, because you need to say, oh, it's for this pack size and for this pack size. My variation is, impacting these two pack sizes or all of them. those products should already have all your pack sizes because this is mandatory in XEMPD. For products authorized in other countries where the authorization number is granted at product level, like for example Spain, you don't need to have your pack sizes in the EAF. You just say, my variation is for this product. And then in the, I don't know, another section, you explain maybe to which pack sizes, but you don't need to have them. You don't need to have them right now in the PDF EAF. So the fact that we are saying, hey, you need to submit, the goal for MA holders is that you should have submitted all your pack sizes for all your products in PMS is just the goal. We are not blocking anything because the business rules from XEMPD already said, if your product is authorized at package level, all your packages should be in XEMPD and therefore in PMS, therefore in EAF and all consuming systems.
Thank you. What is the impact for pharmacovigilance? The PMS would be managed by PV team or regulatory affairs?
So that depends on if you are asking who is going to manage this, if from EMS side or EMA side or from the industry side. If you're asking who should manage PMS on your company, this is up to you. It's either pharmacovigilance or the regulatory affairs department. The point is now they will be very connected because whatever is submitted to PMS, it will have an impact on your variations. For example, you need to have your products in PMS in order to submit a variation when you use the web-based variation form. So that depends on your company. If you talk about EMA, PMS is managed by the RDM service, is the Regulatory Data Management Service, and then the data from PMS is consumed by different systems. So from IRIS, the RDM, EAF, EPI in the future, ESMB, so the inspections, a lot of people will be consuming our data, but it's managed by RDM.
Thank you. As an industry user, I cannot see the export function for ingredients and ATC report. Could you please clarify if it is due to the role?
So if it's in the dynamic report, you need to make sure that you click on the in this dynamic report. It's very small. It's like 3 dots on top of the table. And you should be able to export it for every report. We can check later with an industry role, but there's please make sure that you are able to do it because, yeah, Veronica, sorry.
Yeah, no, Marcus, because there are those 3 dots that Marcus mentioned, and I just tested and they are working, but there might be an overlapping of your EAF and PUI role. So my suggestion, I replied in the ticket, please have a look if your EAF role corresponds to the rules, synchronization of the rules that I mentioned before. So if you are an EAF contributor, you should be requesting only PUI user role. And if you're a coordinator or manager in EAF, you should be requesting only qualified user role, because we know there are deviation on the level of the privileges, and this might be one of the reasons why you can't export or even see the data. Just check that, and if you confirm that you're compliant with the rules, submit a ticket as an incident, because we need to ask the team to check your accounts. Thank you.
Thank you, Veronica. Is it possible to perform bulk actions for the enrichment process with a user interface? For example, enriching the pack size for several records using Excel, CSV, or XML?
So yes and no. We will open a bulk update for the enrichment process, which means that changes performed to one specific product can be applied to multiple. So for example, for MRPs and DCPs, you can add, I don't know, 20 manufacturers for one product, and then you will be able to say, okay, all these 20 manufacturers also include them in these other 20 products that belong, to the same procedure, or different products that have the same manufacturers. That will be possible, but we are not opening a bulk update with Excel, CSV, or XML. That is not going to be possible.
Thank you. For our CAP products, the Manufacturing Authorization Reference Number, effective date, and manufacturing operation end date fields are empty. Should I provide this missing data to ServiceNow for enrichment?
No. So we will explain all this during the webinar on the 25th. For CAPs, we are capturing the data that we have in SciAmed. There is no need, if this data is missing, there is no need for you to provide it. It will only be needed for non-CAPs, but for CAPs, it's just the data that we have in SciAmed.
Some of the data quality sync issues were acknowledged and mentioned to be considered as known issues for now. However, the known issues document has not yet been updated to reflect these. When can we expect an updated document?
So I think we have updated it with all the issues that we know. We are nevertheless reviewing this document constantly, including new issues if we find them, and also removing those that will be solved. So we might need to check if there is anything that we have missed, but in principle is the most updated one that we have.
Thank you.
If I can, there might be, but I don't know if you checked recently, Marcos, an overlapping between the FAQ documents, level of information, and maybe known issues. But it's good to take in consideration just to make sure.
Yes, indeed, because, for example, the known issues that were in the presentations are for sure in the FAQ document, indeed. So yeah, we should have a look at the overlaps. Next, based on the webinar updates, there are many issues flagged or not migrated for non-CAPs. What is the message and actions needed from MAH to be done with these partial data sets in PMS PUI?
So you need to go to my last slides, and this is the message. So if your products don't have issues, you can validate, you can check the data for all of them. If they have issues, then you can still make checks of the data that is correct. Then also if you have a huge amount of products, then focus on a specific group of products like ESMP or EAF products that are going to be used. I would just redirect you to these slides with these messages on, okay, these are the actions that you can do.
Thank you. It has been said that we should not make changes in XCVMPD for grouping elements like the name of a product. However, this is subject to change, for example, name change for marketing strategic reasons. What should we do in that case?
Sorry, maybe I was not completely clear. Obviously, you can make changes to anything if there has been a variation or the regulatory authority has said, okay, you need to change this. Obviously, you need to make those changes as part of the life cycle of the product. What you shouldn't do is you should not, or you need to understand that if you make changes to these grouping elements, new products will be created. So if you change the name of your product in XCVMPD, a new product will be created in PMS with a new ID. And then all the packages, so all the EV codes that are linked, whenever you make the update to the same field, then those packages will be moved to this product. They will keep the package ID, but the PMS ID will change. So obviously you can make changes, but just make sure that you understand what is going to happen with your product. All this is explained in chapter 9. I was just referring, like, make sure that you don't include a dot for a EV code and you don't do it in another one, because then these are different names. These will be, these EV codes will be in different products, etc., etc. So yeah, it's just to make sure that you understand what is going to happen.
Thank you. When do you envisage the end-to-end CVMPD submissions for marketed products? 2025, 2026?
I don't know. That's the easy question, the easy answer, sorry. The long answer is that at EMA, we have a working group that is working on the strategy to decommission ex-CVMPD submissions. So there's a group working on defining, okay, how can we get rid of these ex-CVMPD submissions, which are the enablers that we need, etc. But this is just, they are analyzing this strategy and what to do. Now we need to put a plan on paper, we need to sign it, etc. So for the moment, we don't have news and we cannot really commit on a date because it is not new, not known for the moment.
What is the extent of QA checks for the migration on the EMA side? It currently appears that there are multiple data quality issues within the migration, and the responsibility for data correctness seems to be shifting to the industry.
No, so what we are doing is also, and this is why we have also identified these issues, we are also making checks, like, for example, products where the MA holder is missing, or products where the authorization, authorized those form has not been mapped to RMS. So we are also doing checks, but it's more, we call it data profiling. So it's more taking all the products and do generic checks. That's why on the specific products, it's industry and MA holders who are responsible to check that, okay, my product is correct with these pack sizes. We don't have the information to make sure that the EV codes that belong to the same medicinal product are migrated together or not. We have applied the business rules that we have in the EUIG, but only the marketing authorization holder knows, okay, those EV codes that I have belong to the same medicinal product and therefore should be together. That is why this is MA holder's responsibility. Also to make sure that, okay, the correct authorized dose form, etc. EMA is in charge of, okay, the migration rules, the mappings, etc., and then some data profiling.
Thank you. Not only Cyrillic and Greek characters show the question number, for Norway and Germany also. Is this the same issue and needs to be fixed in XCVMPD?
I would need to check. Most likely, yes. So what you should do is, if you see something in PMS that is a question mark, if you go to XCVMPD and you have the question mark, then it's XCVMPD. Otherwise, it's PMS.
Okay.
Then you either change XCVMPD or you raise a ticket and we investigate.
Thank you. Before we continue, I just wanted to flag that I've opened the usual post-event survey. So it would be really nice if you take just a few seconds to fill in this survey. We included the usual rating question. You can also leave open remarks for any feedback you may have. And we also added a question to understand how are you aware of PMS guidance resources that are available on PLM portal. You can leave any comment here to flag any issue you have in retrieving PMS guidance resources. Thank you in advance for responding, and let's continue with our Q&A. If a medicinal product in PMS is a duplicate of an existing product due to a migration error, once the XCVMPD has been corrected, how can it be invalidated?
Okay, so it will not be invalidated, it will be nullified. And it's gonna be done automatically by the system. So what is, for example, if you have a duplicate, it's maybe because, this case, we change the name of the product, so we create another PMS ID for this product. But what we are doing is we are moving the package from the former product to the new one created. As we are moving it, if a product in PMS loses all their packages, then we understand that, okay, they have been moved to a different product, and therefore this product without packages, we nullify it. So it's automatically done by the system. You don't need to do anything. But it's nullified, not invalidated. Invalidated would be the authorization status, which is a different one.
Thank you. What is the turnaround time for an update of PMS after correction via XCVMPD?
So from XCVMPD to PMS, the change is almost immediately. So as soon as the change is reflected in XCVMPD, like in less than 1 minute, normally you have the update in PMS. Now, from PMS to the product UI, it takes a bit more because we have something that is called the integration routine that it's running every 2 hours, but it has to run 400,000 products, which are a lot. So it might take up to 2 hours to show the change from XCVMPD into the product UI. We are working to improve this performance, but for the moment, it is the turnaround time that we have.
Thank you. Italian Republic and Kingdom of Spain are standard term. We are seeing them in your presentation.
Yeah, so we know nobody says Kingdom of Spain, everybody says Spain, and I would say it's the same with Italy, everybody say Italy or Italian Republic. But these are the names that we have captured in RMS. So that's why they are shown like this in the product UI. In the future, we might change it, and instead of this standard term, we show the short name, so it would be Spain and Italy. But this is for the moment the way we have implemented it is just an RMS term, and it's coming from the current name from RMS.
Thank you. Will EMA publish a guidance on how to efficiently identify and update flag 0 substances in XCVMPD?
I reply to this question. We need to check with the SMS team if they will be releasing something like this. I cannot really reply to this question because it's up to them. We will need to check.
Okay, thank you. Will there be mandatory specific training courses for those users that will need to edit data in the PMS PUI, similar to what is requested in XCVMPD?
So for the moment, I also reply to this question. So for the moment, the enrichment capability will be limited to a couple of fields like manufacturing, business operations, etc. We will not request a certificate or a training course as in XCVMPD for the moment, and only for these fields. In the future, when we open the system to be enriched, like the full PMS data model and additional processes, we might require this certificate, this training, but for the moment, it's not going to be needed.
Thank you. We can have a couple more questions. What is the turnaround time for an update of PMS after correction?
I think we replied to this,
Yeah, okay. I, as an NCA, cannot see ATC code tab in dynamic search reports. Any idea why?
No, we can check with the developers. Veronica, we can check later with them. And
I saw already an email live flowing to the team, so bear with us.
We will check internally.
Just to confirm. Just to confirm that this will be available on short term also for the regular NCA user. It has been enabled for the qualified NCA user, which is not accessible for the moment only, but will be there soon.
Dino is our network product owner. He has the NCA role, so there you have the answer. Thank you, Dino.
Thank you. Last one, in Active MPD, we performed an MAH update, new address, new loc ID, but in PMS, the MAH update had been not migrated. What shall we do now?
The fast answer would be open a ticket in ServiceNow. Also, if possible, you would need to check if the mapping in OMS between the org EV code and the loc ID is done in OMS. So check, go to OMS, look for your loc ID, and in the mapping section, make sure that you have the EV code of your organization there. But we might need to check in so you can open a service desk ticket.
Okay, thank you. I think, unfortunately, we need to stop. However, the PMS team will continue to reply in answering at least to the most upvoted questions in writing, sorry.
Sorry, because I've seen a very interesting question.
Let's go back, no worries.
The next one that we had for companies that are that are very small and have purely national products. So we don't have, we are not planning anything very specific. The idea is that you might need to go through the product UI, check your products, use the dynamic reports to export. But if you foresee that there is a need of something like this, you can always contact our SMEs. And if we receive feedback that this is something that might be really needed, we can gather specific questions. We can try to prepare some kind of webinar or something like this. But again, it's not really something that we could do. You really need to use the dynamic reports to export the data and try to focus on specific products at a time. And also read the guidances and make sure that you understand how we've made the migration. I know it can be a bit difficult at the beginning, but as I said, also if there's more people with this feeling and we receive enough feedback from our SMEs, we can try to plan something for them.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Marcos. So as I was saying, the PMS team, so Marcos, Veronica, will continue to reply in writing at least to the questions that have more upvotes. But for the other questions, please note that next week we have already another Q&A clinic on the 5th of November. So please join if you have any more questions to ask. And please continue to respond to the live poll. It will be really useful for us. And as you have seen from these sessions, we really check out your feedback. So we organized this webinar because looking at the survey last time, we saw that it was important to dedicate more time to this topic. So thank you very much for your feedback. And thank you, Marcos and Veronica, and Dino as well. And I leave you for closing.
Thanks, Marcos.
Well, thank you, everybody, and happy to see you joining all these webinars, and see you in the next one.